Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. HBO gotta step it up. HBO Boxing, that is. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, I had to make a follow-up video, part 2, to a video I already talked about. It was Showtime absolutely obliterating HBO Boxing. They unveiled a massive first half 2018 calendar of fights. I'm looking forward to a lot of them. You know what I mean? Danny Garcia versus Brandon Rios coming up. That should be a good card. Jose Benavidez. You got Adonis Stevenson, Badu Jack on the same night as Keith Thurman returning against to be announced, right? You got Errol Spence coming back already after just fighting in January. You got Omar Figueroa and Broner. I mean, the list goes on and on. And the reason, another reason I'm thinking about this is because I got some comments. A lot of people agreed with me about the kind of the demise of HBO Boxing. And I mean, I don't really have to prove nothing. You guys, the great thing about YouTube as a platform, it saves all the results. Like everything, videos I've done, it's all documented. So when Showtime was dropping the ball, I made videos about it. I'm like, man, HBO is doing better than them. When HBO doesn't have the torch, then I make videos about that. So, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm comfortable in my own skin. And that's because I'm real. I'm pure. What I say, I mean. And as far as I see it, HBO Boxing, they're dropping the ball. And it's a far cry from what a lot of the media and a lot of the fans were saying just a few years ago. They were saying HBO Boxing still #1, even though it was trending to kind of get out of the boxing game or kind of lose boxing fans' attention. You know what I'm saying? And they were still holding on hope. Oh, PBC, they blew up their budget and they can't pay the fighters. Now you look at it and PBC still unveiling great fights. Now, another thing is I just watched the World Boxing Super Series, right? And there was a great fight with Gennady Golovkin's trainer, Abel Sanchez. He has a fighter, Murat Gassiev, versus Junior Dorticos, right? Classic. It was a good fight, punctuated by a 12th round knockout stoppage. Now, from my sources, they said that this fight, this tournament, the World Boxing Super Series tournament, and this particular one with Gassiev and Dorticos was pitched to HBO, and HBO chose to pass on it. Yet they just gave us the first fight of 2018, which was Jorge Linares versus Mercito Hesta, and Lucas Matisse versus an unknown guy from the Philippines, Karam. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I'm talking about. HBO, you need to clean house. You need to go back to the drawing board. Employ some people. You know, you could check YouTube. There's some dudes, I'm sure, that don't want to work. I work for myself, but I'm sure there's somebody on YouTube that knows boxing, that works a 9-to-5 job, that is looking to get out, and they would probably do a hell of a better job than HBO Sports, the current people that you have. It troubles me as a boxing fan. Like, obviously you can't predict what's gonna happen in each fight, but I mean, one's a tournament style fight where it really should be the best of the best, and we're seeing that with the World Boxing Super Series. I mean, the people fighting now is Usyk and Gassiev. I mean, those are looking like the best cruiserweight. I mean, you still got people like Andrew Tabiti and others, but those are looking like top tier guys, and you know what I mean, coming off of good performances and whatnot. So the fact it's like mind blowing that HBO is still making these piss poor decisions for their boxing programming. You could have got the Gassiev Dorticos fight for less money than you paid for Lucas Matisse versus Karam. And I can understand, okay, Lucas has a big name, but he ain't really done shit. Ever since, he ain't really looked the same since Danny Garcia. And then he lost to Victor Postal, quit by stoppage, disappeared for over a year, came back with a new trainer, Joel Diaz, and he had one fight against a non-welterweight at welterweight, Emmanuel Taylor, and then he comes back pretty much a year later after that, or 8 months after that, and he's fighting an unknown guy. So it's not like Lucas Matisse has that much of a following at this point. He's been pretty inactive. So if it can't just be about names, you know what I'm saying? Because who Lucas Matisse fought wasn't a big name. So I understand Dorticos and Gassiev aren't necessarily the biggest names in boxing, but their fight was badass. Poor decision making, you know what I mean? Very poor decision making. One's a tournament, so it's definitely meaningful. Usyk, he's a beast, you know what I mean? He's friends with Lomachenko, and Lomachenko's no longer on the HBO network. You could easily push that card, and you know what I mean, and cover this World Boxing Super Series. So it's crazy, man, that HBO has not even responded to Showtime. I mean, look at it. Bob Arum took all his damn fighters to ESPN. He has a card tonight with Gilberto Ramirez, Zurdo, and also I think Jesse Hart, Gabe Flores Jr., right? Jose Benavidez. Later on, Oscar Valdez has an ESPN date. They're trying to wrap up Terrence Crawford versus Jeff Horn with Pacquiao. So ESPN's definitely doing their thing. And then you have Showtime, which we already know is doing their thing with all these Premier Boxing Champs fights that they just announced. It's looking bad for HBO. Now, I did have one detractor on my last video. He left a comment, and it was showing the numbers of viewership. And I guess, I don't know the exact numbers, but I guess Lucas, in the first month of the year, there weren't that many fights, but Lucas Matisse versus Karam did, like, let's say 700 something thousand in terms of viewership. And then Errol Spence versus Lamont Peterson did 600 and something thousand. So his point is like, oh, you're trying to say HBO is slowly dying off or whatever. They're not really focused, invested into their boxing program. Why do they have better numbers? And that is by far one of the dumbest arguments, because bottom line is HBO has more subscribers than Showtime. So it being 100,000, like 120,000 more views, that's not really surprising. I'm talking about if you know business, like I used to work at Lowe's, and part of my job as a salary manager when I elevated and kept promoting would be to forecast, to look at trends, to see, you could tell if your store is trending down from the previous fiscal year to the current fiscal year. And I say that to say this is you have to anticipate. And what I'm seeing from HBO, they don't really have a definitive answer to Showtime and ESPN. Their roster is not looking the same. Yeah, they got Canelo versus Golovkin, good fight, but that's a pay-per-view fight. What are you putting on your regular network? Sergey Kovalev versus Igor Mikhelkin? You know what I mean? Who is that? And part of it is HBO's fault, because this is no disrespect to, I love everybody from around the world, but HBO, an American-based company, they fell in love with the foreign fighter to the point where it's like they didn't even give credit to the American fighters, and they're praising a lot of people, a lot of them not even from the America, like, you know what I mean, people from like Eastern Europe and stuff. There's good fighters from Eastern Europe, Russia, and Kazakhstan, and Ukraine, but that became their bread and butter. Now you have no American stars really on your network at all, you know what I mean, except for maybe like a Daniel Jacobs. And see, the problem with Jacobs even, and that's my dude, is he's dangerous. He's a dangerous fight for anybody at middleweight. Plus, it's just going to be hard for him to get a fight. I heard the Gary Spike O'Sullivan fight fell apart with Jacobs. Billy Joe Saunders doesn't look like he wants to fight him. David Lemieux just looked horrible in his last fight, so he's not really in a position to fight him. So now you're going to struggle to make Danny Jacobs fights. You know what I mean? Canelo versus Golovkin, who's going to really want to fight Jacobs if they don't have to? You know what I mean? If Canelo wins, is he really going to want to fight a 6-foot-tall Jacobs who gave Golovkin hell? Is Golovkin really going to rematch a guy who gave him problems and can learn from the first fight? You know what I'm saying? And HBO invested all this money into like foreign fighters and forgot totally about American fighters. Now American fighters like Andre Ward's retired. Other great American fighters like Terrence Crawford aren't even on your network no more. And it's like they don't really have nobody. You know what I'm saying? They don't really have have any star power anymore. You know what I mean? Pacquiao looks like he's at the end of the rope, and he's on ESPN anyway. The Mayweather curse is real, man, because ever since Floyd left, that's where HBO started to decline. And I'm not just saying that, that's what I really believe. When he left to Showtime, that's where you start seeing some shifting. And see, this is the thing. A lot of people are dumb. They don't look at the full picture. They don't look about, like I said, the forecasting. They just look at the here and now. Like the dude who's sending me the numbers of Lucas Matisse versus Karam, saying it did 100-something thousand. But you got to look at the actual math behind it. And this is, trust me, I don't know all the numbers, but you got to look at it. Let's say HBO, this is a hypothetical. Let's say HBO has 80 million subscribers to their network, and Showtime has 22 million subscribers to their network. Now, HBO has been a known staple for boxing. I mean, from Boxing After Dark with the semi trucks and the, you know what I mean, the dope intro to, you know what I mean, just everything that HBO boxing has done, right? 24/7 and all that, right? You got to ask yourself, why are they even, let's say Lucas Matisse versus Karam, it did 150,000 better. But given the amount of subscribers and subscriptions that they have over Showtime, then wouldn't you expect them to do substantially much better than the network with far less subscribers? You get what I'm saying? And the other thing is this, you got to look at it like this, is as a boxing fan, why do some of you guys care so much about numbers? Don't you care about the quality of opposition, the quality of the fight, the meaningfulness of the fight? You know what I mean? Bottom line is Errol Spence versus Lamont Peterson was a far more meaningful and respectable fight on paper. It was more entertaining in the physical after watching it than Lucas Matisse versus Karam. That fight ended weird. Matisse didn't look good and somehow got a belt. It's really a fake belt because Keith Thurman is the real WBA champion. So, you know what I mean? People keep throwing up numbers and stuff. Things like that take time. HBO's been in the driver's seat for quite some time. So Showtime's not going to just automatically come out and start blowing their numbers out of the water. You know what I mean? But if you look at how it's trending, it's not looking good for HBO. Point blank period. You got to do something, baby. I just feel like they got to do something. And you know what I mean? You guys could throw up numbers. Oh, Sergey Kovalev versus Igor Mikhelkin, that did 680,000. And Broner versus Figueroa only did 700,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just about numbers. It's about the quality and the value for the fan. What you're getting from it. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? You know what I mean? And I promise you, from what I've seen from boxing fans, more people are chomping at the bit for fights like Adonis Stevenson and Badu Jack, Broner versus Figueroa, than they are versus Sergey Kovalev and Igor Mikhelkin. What the fuck does that mean to the division? Now, the co-main event is real good. Dimitri Bivol versus Sullivan Barrera, but that's the decisions and the decision making from HBO. Sergey Kovalev, how's your main event weaker than your co-main event? By a lot. You know what I mean? Who's Igor Mikhelkin? And Kovalev is a champion. You know what I mean? And he's a former champion before that. So it's like, really, why is he fighting a guy as little known as Igor Mikhelkin? I would love to see Joe Smith Jr. versus Sergey Kovalev. Especially more, I mean, there's other great fights, but if he's not going to fight like a top 5 person, why not fight like a Joe Smith Jr.? He's at least big with power. You know what I mean? So that could be a good fight. And at least the fans have been introduced to him on the HBO network. He fought against Bernard Hopkins there, and people might know him from his PBC fight with Funfara. So it's just not making sense, the direction of HBO boxing. Put your input and your comments and your thoughts. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.